Okay, sige, let's start. This is just a continuation of our discussion last time with the physical examination of urine. But for this afternoon, we'll be more focusing class on the evaluation of urine-specific gravity, more specifically class for those obsolete as well as conventional ways of measuring the specific gravity. Now, kasi most of the time, we usually measure the urine spectra by means of using our reagent strip testing. But before, kasi wala pa na-discover class ang reagent strips. No? So, ating mga conventional ways of how to measure the urine-specific gravity. So, we'll compare class these conventional ways, more specifically on their advantage as well as their disadvantages with today's reagent strip testing. So, just a brief review lang, when I say urine-specific gravity, so the measurement class of your urine SG is used to evaluate urine concentration. Kasi nga, di ba, once our glomerulus class already filtered the blood, okay, before siya ma-excrete ang urine in the outside environment, our kidneys, more specifically class your nephrons, will try to concentrate our urine. Where specifically class, nagkakaroon ng final adjustment with the concentration of our urine sa collecting ducts. Okay, so this is solely based class on our food intake, on our body's metabolism, okay, depending also class on our hydration, it can solely affect class our urine-specific gravity. It also measures the kidney's ability to concentrate glomerular filtrate. Okay, that's why in the most cases class of renal diseases, no, mga sakit that can affect our kidneys, most of the time class, the urine-specific gravity is usually increased or somehow lowered depending on the case of the patient. Kasi one of the major affected class, the function of your kidneys once they are damaged is their ability class to concentrate our urine. It also measures the density of the dissolved substance in the urine and influenced by number and size of particles in a solution. Kasi usually, diba, most of the time, our thinking that if the substance is larger, or dako ang iyang size, ang iyang timbang, or iyang weight class usually increase or heavy. But please, iwala na siya na idea because in the case of urinalysis, not all substance class that are larger in size are already considered as a heavy one. One common example class is your ketones. When ketones class are present in the urine in a large number or large concentration class, it cannot directly impact to your urine-specific gravity. Kasi even though larger iyang size, pero yung molecular weight is gaan, so dili siya maka-directly impact to the urine-specific gravity. Unlike naman with your glucose, na even though a very low concentration lang class, nasa say 10 to 20 milligrams per deciliter, it can directly affect na. No, kasi glucose class is considered as the heaviest, di ba, na sediment or heaviest na solute that can be dissolved in the urine. And take note that a random urine-specific gravity or random spectra will range from 1.003 to 1.035. But the specific gravity class, if it will fall no less than 1.003, that means that specimen or that fluid class is not considered as a urine unless the patient has diabetes insipidus. But why is it class on the book? It was mentioned that if the patient will undergo the drug testing, then if you're going to test the urine-specific gravity, if ang spectrum niya is less than 1.003, ano gina-consider man siya as a subject for injection? Ha? Ito na? Adulteration. By what means of adultering the sample class? Through dilution. So, muna pinaka-common example ha, if ang specimen for drug testing na freshly voided, then we're going to test the urine-specific gravity and ang value is less than 1.003, so that's subject for injection kasi possible i-dilute ang specimen. Okay? And then if the spectrum naman class is greater than 1.040, That means radiographic contrast dye is present no, in patients who are undergoing MRI, CT scan, no, mga X-ray. Okay, so please take note ha, kanalagyan ng reason class why the urine will become greater than 1.040. Actually, it will range from 1.040 to 1.055. So, kana na value class, that's an indicative of the presence of radiographic contrast dye media. Now, kasi once the patient will take this, these are not reabsorbed by the kidneys or not reabsorbed by the body, considered siya as an waste product, no, ma-observe sa urine. So, we can detect it through chemical testing and we can also observe this class through microscopic exam. Kasi this will appear class as a urinary crystal under the microscope. So, it will somehow look like as a sulfonamide crystal or somehow ampicillin crystal. No? Kasi thorny man iyang appearance under the microscope. Now, we have collective terms here class for urine-specific gravity. So, we have a isostimulate urine. Okay, that means the specific gravity is approximately equal to 1.010. Why do you think class that it will always start with 1.010? So the specific gravity of
Sablon pag-filter sa
the glomerulus, the spectrum of substances that
pass through
the glomerulus. So please take note class that all of the fluid filtered by the glomerulus or tanan fluid na nag-receive sa glomerulus has a constant specific gravity of 1.010. So sir, 1.010 man kaya, why is it that some urine will become 1.005 when tested? Yeah, 1.010 man siya. Parang ano kung abot sa outside environment, 1.005 naman or less than 1.010 ang spectrum.
exposed the light.
What's the main reason for that? Nagkaroon of pre-absorption. Now, for example, nag-leave sa glomerulus siya na 1.010 pero na-glucose present. So, syempre, maagi pa siya DCT, collecting DAP, na final adjustment. So, possible magkaroon pag reabsorption class of your solutes leading to a low specific gravity or somehow mag-increase yung spectrum depending again on the solutes that are present in your urine sample. So, if less than 1.010 naman, we refer it as your hypostinuria or hypostenuric urine. Then, pag greater than 1.010 naman class, that is hyperstinuria. Okay, so kanalagyan ito mga terms na use for reporting of your specific gravity. Now, let's proceed to the first method no, in obtaining the urine-specific gravity. So, we have your urinometer. Okay, so your urinometer class, we are usually using a device here. So, natin graduated cylinder together with your urinometer device. So, as you may notice class on your as you may notice, class, on your urinometer device, this one, nasa 3 parts. Nasa stem, in which on the stem area class, this is where you can observe the different gradings or markings in your urinometer. Okay? You also have the float part. Usually, ang yung purpose ano yun, just to float. Once it is submerged class already in the urine sample. So, hollow area lang siya, glass, plain glass lang siya, na empty space. And we also have the weight, pampabugat. Usually, class weight are composed of mercury. And intentionally with mercury direct inside. So, para maglubog ang imuhang urinometer device. Now, one of the major advantage class of your urinometer compared with your reagent strip is its marking. Kung sa'yo na-notice sa markings niya? Ha? Nakatausan? Kung sa'yo na-notice sa yung markings? Taraw na yung sa'yo na-notice sa yung markings. Dili lapit o. Dili apart. Gilid. You may notice that the increment are per 0.001. 1.00, then 001, 002. Unlike with your reagent strip class, bilang increment pag reagent strip for spectrum per 0.005. So that means, mas advantageous class si urinometer compared with reagent strip kasi you can accurately measure class the value of urine specific gravity. No? Kasi for example, ma-measure mo ang in between 1.0010 and 1.015. Unlike sa reagent strip na 0.5 ang increment. So, mo yung first major advantage. Okay? So, aside from na siya advantage, syempre class, disadvantage also are present. What's the most common disadvantage ba of your urinometer? First one, it requires temperature calibration. It's very sensitive class to temperature. That's why you cannot process a specimen if wala siya sulod sa imuhang calibration. It's just the same thing class on what we're doing with chemistry. No, we do run control before we can run a actual specimen. Okay? And take note that the calibration temperature is 20 degrees Celsius. Okay, that urinometer requires a temperature calibration of 20 degrees Celsius. So aside from temperature calibration, we also utilize class chemical calibration. So ang sabihin na most common chemical na ginagamit to calibrate your urinometer? Ang ginagamit kay potassium sulfate. Okay, so to prepare potassium sulfate, you need to prepare 20.28 grams of your potassium sulfate mixed with 1 liter of distilled water. So if these two class are mixed, dapat ang specific gravity sa solution should be this value because this is already a constant value class of your potassium sulfate solution. Okay, so pag ang measurement nimo sa imong urinometer, wala siyang nasunod din na value class, that means erroneous in preparation. Na kasi constant value na siya, known value na siya class for potassium sulfate solution. Okay, so before you can run the actual sample, gamit ka o potassium sulfate. Okay, so we have general rule here class to please take note. Okay, so for every 3 degrees Celsius down that the specimen temperature is below the calibration temperature, you need to subtract 0.001. Pero pag above 3 degrees Celsius naman siya from our calibration temperature, you need to add 1.001. So, saan na siya, sir? So, let's just say your calibration temperature is 20 degrees Celsius. Urine temperature, kasi you need to take note plus the temperature of the urine since sensitive siya sa temperature. Let's just say 29 degrees Celsius. Initial reading ni 1SG, 1.024. Now, what's your final reading? Based on general rule. So, calibration temperature, 20 degrees Celsius. Okay? So, urine temperature is 29 degrees Celsius. Is the urine temperature above or below the calibration temp?
Above.
Above. Bilang ka temperature above niya? 9 degrees Celsius. Okay? So, based sa ruling, for every 3 degrees Celsius above the calibration temperature, we need to add 0.001. Okay? So, on this 9 degrees Celsius, pila ka ba 3 degrees Celsius din?
Low.
There are 3. Okay, so 3. So that means ang 1.024, mag-add ka of 0.001 times 3. So, kaya mo final rating? 1.027. Ano mo answer? So, you need to calibrate class sa temperature prior to reporting your final result. So, magamit ng calculator ha, wala calculator sa exam. I-calculate pa ninyo ng task yung sila. Okay, naka-follow?
Yes, sir.
Ano na siya ka-easy class no, to calibrate, to correct the temperature for urinometer. Now, what if there's a presence class of your, kasi it also requires class correction for the presence of glucose and protein. So in every 1 gram daw of glucose, mag-subtract of 0.004. Then every 1 gram of your protein, mag-subtract of 0.003. So let's just say, 2 grams
0.003
protein, and ay 1 gram of your glucose. So kanina value, this is already just a correction from temperature. Corrected temp. Okay? So nanay 2 grams of your protein. So based on rule, in every 1 gram of protein, magbawas of 0.003. Since 2 grams man siya, so times 2. So mayroon na siyang 0.006. Then for glucose naman, in every 1 gram, magbawas of 0.004. So 1 naman siya, equal to 0.004. So yan ang dalawa, pila? 0.10. So ibawas na po siya ni mo siya dahil na value. So minus 0.010. So yung final answer is 1.017. So minanay mo ang final SG reporting class after correcting the presence of glucose, protein, as well as correcting the temperature. Okay, nakuha?
Di-add sa ito. Ay, tama. Ito yung
Okay, so very easy lang, no? Pag ano yung given. Pero what if ang dihatag na given class is
complicated. Ala, panera. 26. 6 siya per year. So, for every 3 degree, that's kasi isang siya mag-add ka ng ano. To, ay, 0.0.
walang ihatag, walang iputang kung pila ka grams.
Wala.
Protein.
4 plus lang. 4 plus, 2 plus. Di, ano? Guro na.
Okay, how are you going to answer this one? If protein now is 4 plus, glucose is 2 plus.
Protein.
So this is solely based class on reagent 6. Okay? So pinagay reporting sa reagent 6 na to, di ba natin negative, trace, 1 plus, 2 plus, 3 plus, and 4 plus. Okay, so pag protein, let's just say 6, 30, 100, this is 400, this is 1,000.
No,
So glucose naman is 6, 10, 30, 100, 400. So naka mg per dl siya.
mg per day. Ano, naka-mg, convert. Pati.
Okay, based sa value ka ng ihatag class, kailangan value na nila. So pag protein na 4 plus, that means now 4 plus reading, that's 1,000 mg per dl.
Tama.
Okay? So i-convert mo ang mg per dl to grams per dl, pila? 1 gram. So 4 plus is equal to 1 gram. Protein, glucose 2 plus is 30 mg per dl. I-convert mo siya into grams per dl. Pila siya? 0.030 grams per dl. Na naka-value, nakuha na mo ang gram sa kanina values coming from your reagent state. So you can compute na class your temperature as well as your correction for glucose and protein. Okay? So correction for calibration temperature 20 degrees Celsius. Urine temperature 26 degrees Celsius. So above or below the calibration temp?
Above.
Above siya pila ka temperature? 6 degrees Celsius. So that's approximately 0.0002.
0.002.
2. Okay? 0.002. So basically, 1.019 initial reading, mag-add ko og 0.002. Ilan ni 1.01. This is just a correction from temperature. Now, napakay 1 gram na protein, napakay 0.013 grams of glucose. So minus, ilagay niya 1 gram ilang pure protein?
0.003.
Kani, include pa ba ni?
Hindi na.
Hindi na, kasi cannot affect plus your rating. Dapat full number nyo siya na 1, 2, or 3. Okay? So yung final value is 1.018. Ano mo ang final value? Okay? So another scenario, class, sir, what if dili siya ka ng divisible by 3, for example, 25 degrees Celsius.
1 lang.
1 lang ba? 1 lang siya class. So 0.001 lang siya, if ever. Dapat again, full value ka kung bawal ang decimal for urinometer.
Okay na kayo para sa exam.
Okay, kaya na mag-solve sa exam. So, hindi record ang calculator sa exam, ha?
Sa convert. Ano sa conversion na? Kasi mo ako 1,000 mo. Ano yung item?
Okay, sige, proceed na. Okay, sige, next, you have your refractometer. So, on your refractometer naman, class, the main advantage of your refractometer compared with your urinometer and your reagent strip, number 1, it only require very small volume of urine. How very small, sir? 1 to 2 drops ng class ang needed of urine nyo to measure the urine specific gravity. Another advantage, it does not require na class correction for temperature. So, bisan pag bugnaw, init na, you can still process your urine. Pero, it requires lang correction for glucose and protein. So, the same value lang ba, sir, for urinometer? Yes, class. So, 0.003 ang ibawas if present ang protein. Then, 0.004 naman if present si glucose. Magana ha? Required correction pa rin sa for glucose and protein. They also have calibrations utilized through chemical. Okay? So we have distilled water. If I'm going to measure the spectrum of distilled water, what's the value of octane? 1.000. Perfect. 1 lang kita siya. Distilled water man siya. How about in 3% sodium chloride? 1.015 plus minus 0.001.
Ano sa books?
Again ha, pag distilled water, 1. So pag 3% sodium chloride, 1.015 plus minus 0.001. How about pag 5% sodium chloride? 1.022 plus minus gihapon 0.00. Okay? And you also have your 9% sucrose, 1.034 plus minus pa rin 0.001. Okay, so muna mga calibration na ginagamit for refractometer. How about ang gamit na calibration class is triple distilled water. What's the spectrum of a triple distilled water? Ha? What's the specific gravity of triple distilled? 1 or 3?
1?
1 or 3? 1. Anong 1 man gihapon? Right? Triple distilled water glass, which means nag-undergo na siya 3 times na distillation process. Yes, it cannot solely affect glass your specific gravity. Okay, so this is how you perform reading of the specific gravity through refractometer. So you need to put 1 to 2 drops ng glass of sample in the prism. So this one, prism is just like a glass. Okay, we just drop it in there. And after dropping the urine class, imo siyang silipon, ano lang, imo siyang telescope. Then you can observe markings. You're going to interpret or read class upper or lower meniscus.
Hindi ko na the sir?
Upper, lower. Upper, lower. Lower.
Say question.
Ano galing lower meniscus? Pag urine,
Ay.
urine is colorless. Yellow, di pa siya serious class siya yellow, pero it cannot affect the turbidity of your urine. So colorless pa rin si urine once submerged class to your refractometer. Okay? Last one, we have your dilution naman. Okay? So we only do this class if very concentrated ang urine. No, very low volume ang urine class, so you need to dilute, no? Usually, ginagamit na for dilution class, ano lang, distilled water ginagamit. Okay, so to obtain the actual SG, you multiply the decimal portion of the SG by the dilution factor. So let's just say, i-dilute ang specimen 4 times. So my initial reading is 1.014. So what will be your actual SG reading? So you multiply 4 times
1.0.
decimal portion lang. So 4 times 0.14. So bilang value? 4 times 0.14. 0.56. So your actual reading is 1.056. So yun ang lang 1. Plus, may yung 4.56 yung spectra, taas kayo. So, again, i-delete siya. Okay, so again ha, you multiply only the decimal portion of the initial reading na 0.14 times your dilution factor, which is 4. Okay, gets na? Okay, we're done.
I-multiply sa 4.
Both siya sa barometer o sa refractometer.
Ang kanina na method, kasi ano man siya, naka-point 160 man siya. 1.060 man ang urinometer ko to. Pwede na siya. Any questions?
Same lang ba si Sir Factometer o Sir Eden Street sa specific gravity?
Same lang o.
Ang pag-increase na
Dili. Ano gihapon siya? Na siya per 0.10, napon siya ganong markings na per 1.
Ang dito ako sa concord, Sir, sa concord, galing Sir Diakot kanina, sa same lang po sila, Sir, kung same glucose ang protein.
Same lang si glucose and protein class for correction of glucose and protein for both refra and urinometer.
Sir, do we have some answer sa 2 by 0.002 ang glucose and 0.003? Hindi 0.003.
Sa, ano na?
0.002.
Check mo sa
Ay, dito ang ganun na ito.
Idris.
Sa strass ang same?
Check that Bible.
No, ganun na matana ko. Saan na? Ito man diri.
Nanasa ano class Henry's chapter 4 at ang refractometer.
Lowest concentration. Ano ba yun?
Sige, aside from that, ano pa yung other questions? So, lagi na may exam sa Monday. Sa Wednesday.
Ano, exam na. Katagal ng exam. Written na na, sir.
Written and
Practical.
practical.
Written na sa ang moving medyo may practical.
Sige, requesting group, ay kuha lang sa gamit Wednesday. Pangita na answer.